She told her mom she'd be home before dark. She didn't know two teenagers were already waiting for her, deep in the woods, carrying a stolen gun and a plan that would leave an entire state in shock. Hours later, smoke rose from the trees, and firefighters stumbled upon something that would turn a missing person report into one of the most disturbing teen murders in modern Florida history. This is the story of how a digital argument spiraled into a deadly trap, and how the killers tried to burn the evidence, not knowing their biggest mistake was already stored inside their phones. Welcome to Drive Mist, where every mile has a story, every shadow hides a truth, and every case we cover reminds us that danger can appear in places we mistake for safe. If you're new here, subscribe. And if you're returning, you already know what we do here. A peaceful Florida suburb. A missing teenager. Two suspects who are barely old enough to drive. And a digital trail they thought they had erased. Let's go back to where it all began. It was early December. The air was cold enough to make the night quiet. 14-year-old Danika Troy received a message, the kind of message teens get hundreds of times a week. It simply said, "Come out. We need to talk." She knew the boys. They weren't strangers. And the argument they had been having online felt like something that could be solved with a quick conversation. She grabbed her jacket, told her mom she'd be right back, and walked out the door for the final time. Hours later, her mother noticed the time. Then the silence. Then the dead phone. The first wave of worry hit, a mother's intuition that something wasn't right. By midnight, she reported her daughter missing. Danika had vanished. Around 2 a.m., firefighters responded to a brush fire deep in the woods. They expected a routine call, maybe a campfire that spread, or a careless spark. What they found instead stopped them cold. A human body. Burned. Unrecognizable. Yet among the ashes was something the fire couldn't destroy, a melted phone case, the exact one Danika's mother described. Detectives were called. The missing person case transformed instantly into a homicide. But the most terrifying part, whoever did this, was still out there. And young. Very young. Detectives seized Danika's phone records. Nothing could prepare them for what they found. There were arguments, insults, jealousy, threats. A toxic storm of teenage emotions fueled by social media. But most important was the final conversation, two boys. Two teens. Names that kept reappearing, Kamari Blevins, 14 years old. Gabriel Williams, 16 years old. The messages showed a plan. A meeting place. A promise to end the drama. And coordinates matching the woods where Danika's body was found. It wasn't spontaneous. It was intentional. This was premeditated. The reconstructed timeline is chilling. The boys arrived early. They hid deeper in the woods, whispering, planning. Gabriel carried a stolen handgun he had bragged about online weeks earlier. Danika walked in, expecting to talk. Instead, the confrontation escalated instantly. Words turned to shouts. Shouts turned to panic. Panic turned to violence. One shot. A single gunshot that echoed through the trees. She collapsed. The boys froze. Fear took over, not remorse, just fear of getting caught. What they did next made this case unforgettable. The teens dragged her body deeper into the forest. Their hands shook. Their voices cracked. But they kept going. They poured gasoline, something they had brought with them. And they lit the match. The flames grew quickly, casting long shadows across the trees. Shadows of two kids who made an adult decision, one that could never be undone. They left the scene thinking the fire would erase everything. But they were wrong. A phone case survived. DNA survived. Footprints survived. And most importantly, the digital trail survived. Detectives went straight to the boys' homes. What startled them wasn't their guilt, but their calmness. Almost too calm. But phones don't lie. Deleted messages. GPS location data. Screenshots. Search history about guns, rumors, and meeting spots. Every keystroke, every swipe, every text, all of it painted the truth. Kamari cracked first during interrogation. Gabriel tried to hold on longer, but the evidence crushed him. Both confessed. Their motive? An online argument that spiraled out of control, insults shared, rumors spread, pride wounded. A digital war became a real one. As news spread, shockwaves hit the community. 2 kids murdered another kid. Over online drama. Schools scheduled emergency assemblies. Parents flooded counselors with questions. Law enforcement warned families about the dangers of unsupervised digital communication. Everyone asked the same question: how does something like this happen? How do kids this young do something this dark? The answer was more disturbing than the crime itself. Experts explained that teens live in a digital battlefield, rumors spread instantly. Insults go viral. Screens create emotional detachment. Anger grows in group chats. And conflict feels like a game, not reality. Danika wasn't just a victim of 2 teenagers. She was a victim of a culture that encourages impulsive reactions without consequences. Where ending the drama means something far more dangerous than hitting block. Detectives later admitted, this case affected them more than most. Not only because of the brutality, but because of the ages involved. 3 teenagers entered those woods. Only 2 walked out. And none of their lives will ever be the same. The fire they lit didn't just destroy evidence. It exposed the darkest corners of teenage rage, insecurity, and impulsiveness. This is the case of Danika Troy, a tragedy born online and ended by fire. If you want us to explore more real American cases, especially crimes fueled by digital clues, teenage psychology, or sudden violence in ordinary places, subscribe to Drive Mist. Because the next case might be happening right now, in a place you think is safe.